got it? Okay. So you've done
Okay, we are back.
Yeah,
Why
we are.
can't
Sorry,
we be
folks.
friends? Oh, baby. And before that, a little old-fashioned karma from Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson.
You know, it's got to hit you sooner or later. And why can't we be friends? Of course, was war.
Can you tell that to Rob Brown? Why can't we be friends?
I have actually. I have.
Yeah, when we met each other at the McGuire Dodd.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Rob Brown was there. I'm sure you
Yeah.
know Brown.
Yep.
And it was interesting because he and I just don't mingle very well.
Uh-huh.
And it could have been my perception, but I swear to God, every time I moved to a different conversation, he was following me. Almost like he
Same
wanted
party.
to actually say hi and actually communicate.
Well, maybe.
I know.
Why can't we be friends?
I'm actually a very shy person out in public.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me just to go up there and say, hey, Rob, how you doing? Because knowing him, he'd probably punch me, but that's all right. So anyway, introduce our friend. Come on, it's your show.
Yes, we are here with Mr. Peter Rumble and Rumble in the Jungle.
Rumble
I'm
in the
sure
Jungle.
you've gotten every joke that could possibly be made.
I
about
think
that.
once or twice. Yeah. Once or twice. It's starting
I'll
to grow
try
on
to
me, though.
spare
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, it's quite all right.
Okay, and he is the CEO of California Clean Energy.
Clean Power.
Clean Power, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I got it right in
And,
front of me.
Well, he forgot to send me all that. So
You didn't ask me to.
anyway,
Welcome to my world.
the show. Welcome to Married Life.
I know it well. I know it well.
Never.
And we want to thank you for joining us. You have had some discussions with our supervisors about possibly offering alternative energy options to the people of Lake County.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have some video that you brought with you, so we're going to go ahead and jump into that. And then when we come back, Pete's going to grill you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I look forward to it.
Very good. Okay, Mark, roll that beautiful
Roll the video.
footage.
Oh, he's got it. Cool.
Hey, there we go. Let me turn the mics down.
Community Choice, sometimes called CCA or Community Choice Energy, returns your community's right to purchase your own energy supply, leading to cleaner choices, cheaper power, and greater energy investment and innovation. With the old setup, the private monopoly utility does everything for you, from buying power from energy producers, to fixing the lines, to billing customers, and you pay pretty much whatever you're told to pay. The new model changes just one part of that formula. Your community buys the power, right from energy producers. You still pay the utility to do the rest uninterrupted. This change is possible when your town, city, or county starts a CCA program. Why is this a big deal? Because every day communities send a lot of money to monopoly utilities to buy energy for as low a price as they can, and then mark it up as high as they can to maximize profits, making themselves and their stockholders richer with minimal environmental or local benefit. But CCA gives you a choice. Because your CCA doesn't need extra profit to pay shareholders, the energy your CCA buys is almost always cheaper, which means that even a small community can bring in millions of dollars a year. This opens up a world of new possibilities. Your community can use that savings to choose renewable energy, 33%, 50%, up to 100%. This drives clean energy production nationwide. Sources may be right in your neighborhood. Some options will be truly greenhouse gas free. You can get lower electricity rates too, for both homes and businesses. And if you start your own CCA, you can go even bigger. You can fund municipal projects, like building local renewable energy infrastructure right in your backyard. Your community gets more economic and environmental benefit than many other time-consuming and costly programs combined, bringing in millions of dollars that would have otherwise gone out to the utility, reducing your greenhouse gas emissions, and bringing local control back to your community. Imagine if everyone with the monopoly utility started a CCA.
I'm really excited about what's going on right now. I have dedicated my career to helping communities through public service and through government, through sustainability efforts with local nonprofits, and now founded and be a part of a public benefit corporation that helps cities and counties throughout the state create community choice programs of their own. We're not just a consulting firm that will tell you how to set up a program, but we'll actually work with you side by side to make it happen. There's a lot of communities out there that would love to have a community choice program of their own, but feel like they can't do it. It could take millions of dollars, and it could take multiple years. And for many communities, They don't have the time or the resources or expertise to get a program up and running on their own. And that's where we come in. We are completely self-financed. So a municipality doesn't have to go out and find startup financing or operational financing. We provide all of that in-house. We even provide a free feasibility report for municipalities that want more information about how to move forward. And we bring expertise of unique and unparalleled staff who go out and negotiate with power companies on your community's behalf to make sure that your ratepayers are getting the best deal possible. And it isn't just any energy. When it comes to renewables, we prioritize Category 1. And the importance of that is we know that Category 1 renewable power is generated in California. It produces a true environmental benefit as well as a benefit for local jobs. In terms of efficiency, we get your program up and running in 6 to 8 months, not years, but months. And if we do our job well, we share in the program's revenues as well as the social and environmental benefits that we all want and is actually required by our benefit corporation status. It is an incredibly exciting time right now to see how many cities and counties want a community choice program of their own. And the way that we see it, the more clean energy CCAs that are out there, the greater the benefit there is to all of our communities as well as to our planet.
And we are back.
Did you turn us up?
I did.
Did you turn Peter up?
I believe so. If he
Okay.
speaks, I can tell for sure.
Am I turned up?
Yes, you are.
All right.
Question is, are you? Never mind.
I am a professional.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so am I.
Yes.
Not.
I know how to work my board.
I'm not going to touch that one at all.
My board, not you.
I didn't say that. Never mind. You said board, not broad, right?
Right.
Okay. So anyway, welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
As I just jokingly said to you earlier, folks, I'm so impressed that I thought Peter here was just a marketing dude and PR guy, and he's actually the CEO.
He
So
actually
I feel
does a good
absolutely
job.
honored that you're here.
Oh, please.
No, I'm serious.
Like I said before, there's no other place I'd rather be right now. I'm very happy that you're
Well,
welcoming me on.
Well, thank you. You can see we're not your ordinary program.
No, but it's fun. It's fun.
We try to have fun. That's got
So-
And I'm sorry you had to hear that story. That was
Oh, that was, but you know something,
all right.
it was actually very
it
serious.
was
Yeah,
one of the more
no.
traumatic moments of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know we just played the videos. Why don't you kind of introduce yourself, give us a real quick overview of who you are, what the company is, and then I got my questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, my name is Peter Rumble. We are a team of folks who want to see community choice spread. We want to give power back to the public, power back to the people. And we see the significant and strong benefits of community choice, and those were outlined in the animated video. We have also seen through our various roles and involvement in community choice over the years how hard it is for governments for communities to set up a community choice program. And so we came together specifically to help rural communities, smaller communities, communities that were struggling with establishing a program to get up and running. So we're the only company then, California Clean Power is the only company then to actually take on the cost burden of starting up a program.
Right.
And then providing all of the staff and other infrastructure that you would need to operate the program. And we'll do that in a way that's more cost effective. That's a better value for those.
And I asked you off the air that how many other companies are doing this, and you said
there are a number of consulting firms who will help advise and walk you through the process. But again, we're the only firm that will fund
And
to
you-
actually
and
put our money.
where do you
our
get your
mouth is.
funding from?
We're all self-financed, so
Really?
it's all our own capital. Yeah. And so we're willing to put up the money and be a long-term partner with communities, and that's the key there, right? Just like any company, Apple doesn't make a big profit off of their one iPhone.
Right.
What they do is they sell a bunch of iPhones, And so we're not looking to actually make profit working with one community. We're willing to sink our funds in, and over time, and as we scale, and
Well, it's like any business. You
It's
can't
like any
have
business.
you can't have just one client. You got to have
that's
multiple.
exactly it. That's exactly.
So I
it.
assume then you're a private company.
We are a private company. We're a benefit corporation. and that's
I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Can you tell people what I mean? I know, but tell our listeners what a public benefit company is.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a really important distinction for us because a benefit corporation really puts the triple bottom line at play, right? And what that means is we're not in business to maximize profit. We're in business to maximize benefits.
Well, actually, you're benefiting the society or the community.
That's exactly
and that's what a B
it.
corporation.
That's exactly
Right.
it. Yeah. So there's social and environmental benefits that come along with financial benefits, and those two things are necessarily 2/3 of the pie. And so we emphasize social and environmental benefits even more than maximizing our own profit.
Right. I went through, folks. Just Peter gave me some information which I highlighted so I can make some interesting questions. But I looked at the resumes of the people that
Yeah.
are on your board or the big shots, and I saw one of them, and I can't remember. I think it was I can't remember, that some experience with Merrill Lynch and some of the bigger financial firms.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we have a real eclectic, I think,
That's a big word.
team. But it's all, the interesting thing about this team is that community choice is not just a standard program. It's not just a government program. It's not just a electric or a renewable energy program. It's not a financing mechanism. It's really all of these things combined in the intersection of all those things. And so we have, like myself, my career has been in government and serving the public through government. We have other people who have worked for large investment firms like Deutsche Bank and Merrill
Deutsche
Lynch.
Bank. That's what I saw. Yeah.
Yep, on the energy commodity side. So they're really experts on securing power and making
Right.
sure.
Since you
that
brought that
there's
up already,
Mm-hmm.
one of my questions down the road was, it was my impression. Listen, I think it was you did the presentation of the board, right? Okay, and we'll get away from what their comments were, but
Sure.
I was on the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you were in this particular situation, you're going to be buying electricity from PG&E. Yet in your comments here, you actually have people involved and have the right connections to actually buy your energy from the source through looking at the world market.
Yeah.
So what's the difference there?
Yeah, that's a very important distinction, and it's not just us; it's all community choice programs. So, community choice literally is the ability for a local government to secure their right to control where their energy comes from. And so, for a county community like Lake, you can prioritize local energy sources like the geysers.
Mm-hmm.
You can prioritize the development of new energy sources like solar. And for other energy that might not be here already, working with us or working with another or doing it in-house, you would go out to the market itself and secure that energy. So it's really severing that tie then as far as where electricity comes from. With PG&E. Now, PG&E still absolutely stays involved and maintains the infrastructure itself, all the poles and wires, and they do a tremendous job at that. They were present in the fire.
Oh,
The
the fire.
Valley Fire,
You know,
they did
and-
awesome.
That's what
and God,
I say. This is
absolutely, and God
amazing.
bless them for standing up and taking care of that responsibility. They do a fantastic job at that. So community choice isn't necessarily an anti-PG&E thing at all. They're a great community partner. What community
So
choice
would they
is?
be a partner then?
They would absolutely, yeah. They still are very much present. They don't leave the community. You're not penalized for doing community choice. But what you do get is the ability to keep all the revenue that is leaving your community now to pay for electricity and keep it local.
Well, let me ask a question. You keep on using the word community.
Yeah.
Community to me, doesn't mean I'm right, is my wife, myself, Mark, Bob, the people who live and provide the economic status of this community. However, you're not dealing with the community. you're dealing with elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
The elected officials don't always necessarily do what's best for the community. So how you have to approach the elected officials, the governing body of a county or the jurisdiction. How can you ensure that your proposal or what the Board of Supervisors negotiate, that is actually the best thing for the community?
Yeah, it's a really great question. There's a couple questions in there. One I'll take is all community choice programs are government programs.
Right.
And so you're right. I mean, I was responsible for community engagement when I was in the county administrator's office in Sonoma. So the definition of community, that's the stuff that really resonates with me, and I really appreciate it.
Right.
But all CCAs, all community choice programs are government programs, and
Right.
are governed by a county board or a city council, and so those are the entities that we need to work with directly to present our services. But we also need to be engaged with the community as you define it,
Right.
and that's why I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks.
It's truly, I mean, this is the conversation that we need to have around community choice.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and so one of your other questions, or a piece of that question, I think highlights sort of our growth and evolution as a company itself. We started out, and we're a year young. We launched just in December last year. So we started out offering fixed guarantees within a contract. And so we would say, okay, if you work with us, if we're fortunate to be a partner, we'll lock in a rate discount and lock in a revenue stream and a mix of renewable power over the life of the contract. And while that guarantee was really attractive, what was at the heart of your question was raising some issues, right? And so we heard, going throughout the state, we heard feedback about, well, wait a second, yeah, it's nice that you guarantee all these things. It's nice that we can count on a guaranteed revenue stream, but we as a community want to actually participate in an ongoing conversation with our elected officials. And that's really where it comes down to. That conversation between community and representative, that's how you ensure the program is responsive to your needs. So we are now simply offering a service. It's our service comes at a fee, and whatever the governing board, whatever the community wants and is expressed through the governing board, that is what we'll deliver. So there's no more guarantees. There's a very dynamic, ongoing conversation that needs to happen, as it should happen,
Right.
because the community choice program is responsive to the community.
And obviously, the community, as I define it, has not been involved in the negotiations between you and the county. But at the presentation you made in the board, it was my interpretation, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, is that we're going to get the people who pay the bills are going to have approximately a 2% reduction in their bills. Yet you're going to provide, in my choice of words, you're going to provide dollars to the county. Is that accurate?
Well, that was that original
Right.
proposal that we put on the table.
Right.
And so that's no longer really on
Okay.
the table at all.
Oh, okay.
What's up for discussion now is, what does the county want, right? And the county will want what its community tells them that it
Allegedly.
wants. And so we will respond to whatever direction comes from the community, comes from the board. And so that could be, if it's just taking the parameters of that original proposal, those are still relatively in play. And so Lake County could have, an injection or captured dollars that would be leaving otherwise.
So theoretically, instead of a 2% discount and the county getting X dollars, we could have a larger discount with the government getting less dollars.
Absolutely.
Is that a reasonable?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a
Yeah.
balance. You can't give away the farm.
Yeah.
You've got to make money.
Yeah, and so there's three real benefits of community choice that are always in sort of this dynamic tension, right? Where a community has to decide how much renewable energy it wants in its program.
Which is more expensive.
Which is more expensive, and so that will take away what other, the revenue that would otherwise come back. So that sort of eats away at the revenue. And how much of a rate discount? How cheap they want
Right.
bills to be. And you can mix and match, funnel
Sure.
an overall pool of revenue that would come in into those different
Right.
areas. And that's really, again, really up for the,
Okay. I understand. And I will be upfront and tell you that I'm extremely biased against our elected officials. I've seen them waste money. I've seen them make decisions which I don't think are financially sound. And that's my opinion only. I've seen them waste money. I've seen them go for initiatives for sales tax basis when they have revenues from other sources. So, and doing what I do for a living, I feel confident that I can analyze stuff at a reasonable level. So giving the county money and less savings to the ratepayers, I have a concern about that.
Yeah.
Again, this is why I'm saying community needs to have their input on this. Not just the board, but to your company.
yeah.
So my question now is, and I think I had this later, is you have representatives of your company to deal directly with the board of supervisors, where you're available, quote, 24/7 or something reasonable. You have customer service, a call center, but those are only for inquiries about their bills or something like that. Can you provide a marketing customer service person that can deal directly with the community to ensure the community is getting what they want to get?
Yes. Yeah. The simple answer to that is absolutely yes. In part, you're looking at that person.
But you
And-
got
and-
better things to do.
Well,
Got a lot
I
of
don't
hats
have better
that you
things to
wear.
do. I got to tell you, I don't have better. This is, it may sound like a line of BS, but I do not want to be in any other place. I mean, our model, our beliefs, our values are to be responsive to community, and community both as you define it, and community the broad government community. And so, leading into what we want to be a long-term partnership with the community, I am available. Other staff are available, and we are happy to both receive direction as well as transmit input that we've received to governing bodies. And then on an ongoing basis, we will have somebody either hired directly within the community or somebody that we make a point of being very present in the community as you're defining it.
Yeah.
To be available, not just to answer questions, what's on my bill,
Right.
but how's the program running for you? How is this working for you? What would you like to see out of the program? Because all of that information, you think of our service really as what would otherwise be government staff.
Right.
In government staff, my fundamental belief is directly responsible to each and every constituent.
Okay. I have two questions here, and obviously they're not related. They should be. Number one, you mentioned many times in your overview here of transparency. Transparency has a broad definition, or
Yeah.
it could be a very finite definition.
Yeah.
From your point of view of transparency, does that mean that at the end of each year, and again, you're a private company, so you have absolutely no obligation whatsoever as a private company. You don't have to answer the SEC or anything like that. Is there some type of financial information without violating your privacy of how do you operate your business that the community can receive to say, okay, here's what it's costing us to provide the energy. Here's our overhead
Yeah.
that pays our salaries, our rent, our R&D, so we can see how the rates are being
Yeah.
calculated.
Yeah. Yes. There absolutely is. On a few points. One is because of CCA, because the community choice program is always public.
Right.
All of the finances, by definition, because it's a public program, a government program, all of the finances related to that CCA are public in the public domain, and so our service would include not just an annual recap of CCA finances, but ongoing reports out to the governing body, and so we can see as we're going how the program's operating on a financial basis. That also provides a lot of information going into the coming year for how's the market and what rates can we expect for the coming year, and how should we invest that revenue.
Okay.
So there's that piece of it, and then on our company's finances, this gets back to the benefit corporation, and we're required to file an annual report and make that public.
But that's only to the state, right?
Well, we're required to post it publicly, so we do
Okay.
deliver it to the state, and we'll provide it on our website as well.
Okay.
I should mention that we're a certified B corporation
Right.
as well, which goes hand in hand with the state designation of a benefit corporation, and that's an independent third-party verification that we're actually true to our word, and that we're putting social and environmental benefit ahead
And just to clarify to the listeners is a B company, it's still for-profit, folks. Even though it's called
Yes.
a benefit company, it's still for-profit. It's
Absolutely.
not a non-profit
Absolutely.
or
Yeah.
mutual benefit company.
Yeah, I don't shy away from that at all.
No,
I mean,
you
I
shouldn't.
want to have a strong, successful financially successful
I don't know about
company.
you, but I don't like working for free.
I don't like working for free. No, not at all. But I also want to leave something.
Well, that's-
I want to leave something behind. I want to have a company that I'm proud of, and frankly, I want to look at my kids in the eye when they're old enough to know what Daddy does, and be proud about what I'm telling them.
Okay. Now, as you probably know by now, Lake County is not exactly the most vibrant economy. There are a lot of people who are unemployed. We have a lot of people on disability. We have a lot of people on, quote, welfare.
Mm-hmm.
You have a call center.
Yeah,
Where's that based out of?
it's based out of Windsor.
Okay.
Sonoma
Is
County.
there a potential that you could open up a call center in Lake County so we have some more employment opportunities?
There's a potential, certainly. There's a potential of hiring folks from Lake County and it's easier to keep the call center in one space to make sure that it's all running as well as possible. It is very much possible for us, I mentioned before, a local representative to hire somebody local in the community. We also want to encourage local energy development as well, which is a direct benefit and probably a more substantial benefit to local well-paying jobs than a call center position. And that could be solar development, it could be rooftop solar, it could be utility scale, it could be any number of projects. I will say on the call center itself, you might have seen this from the material, I'm very proud of we're paying living wages and providing benefits
You just beat me to my next question.
yeah,
So-
to positions that frankly are often outsourced to, in some cases, prison labor, if it's kept on shore or just offshore in general. So, it's a greater expense for us, obviously, but it's, again, part of that benefit corporation mission that we actually want to take care of the people that we employ.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the prison system in Arizona, and that they actually had a contract to hire inmates to work for a call center,
Yeah,
and they had quotas.
yeah,
But the job was nice because it got them away from the normal routine, and they paid them, I think, $1 an hour plus bonuses.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was a major cost savings to the firm at that time.
yeah.
So, and something that's not necessarily a bad thing either, though. I think it was beneficial to inmates to help be something more constructive in their
Sure.
day-to-day life. We've already talked about that. Let me move on. Excuse me, folks. I'm just okay. Okay, we've already talked about that. Are you going to be? I hate this word. Are you going to have like town hall meetings to go to the community and be able to explain what you're about? And I think that has a more of a impact
Yeah.
than being on our show and just listening.
Yeah, there's a delicate balance here in that we don't want to sort of overstep our bounds and call a community meeting of our own.
Why not?
If because we want to be respectful of organizations that are here already. If we are invited to participate in a town hall, we'll be here in a second. But I don't want to get out in front of groups that are already working on, let's say, environmental issues or social equity issues, or who are looking to find new sources of revenue, for example, to help recover from natural disasters. So I don't want to step on any toes. I don't want to get in the way of anybody's efforts, but I want to support those efforts as well. And so if people are interested in talking about community choice and would like to hear from us, I'll be there.
Well, I think that, again, my opinion only, that I'll give you an example. Lucerne area, the water rates there are just ridiculously high. And I know they're working on resolving those issues. We know that PG&E can be expensive. So I think the public in these meetings would be more rate-based and service-based than worrying about other items you mentioned.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest concerns, if I remember out of the meeting, was, are you going to offer the same program that PG&E offers in regard to low income?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. There's no equivocation or caveats to that. Yes.
Okay. So does PG&E kind of pass on the savings, or is this a savings that you built into your own financial performer?
Yeah, there's two things about that. One is low income programs for seniors and others that are on the bill separate from electric generation will remain on the bill. Are still PG&E programs that still get administered. So those don't go away.
Okay.
What a community choice program can do is set up additional programs to even further support low income seniors, disabled, et cetera. And so really the question then is, how do you want to use the revenue that comes into the program? Do you want it to go all into rate savings? Do you want to break a portion of it out to enhance these other types of programs? Do you want to use it for incentivizing rooftop solar and sort of building your own resilient infrastructure, energy infrastructure? All of those conversations we are happy to support, and we can provide information and can help you think through those things. But those are all your decisions.
Right. Okay, just to clarify that for the listeners, is basically when you negotiate a contract with the jurisdiction, in this case, Lake County, you have a projected amount of money is going to come in through your rates and whatever.
Yeah.
It's how we divide our profit margin, because you have overhead, you have expenses to buy the oil, you have transportation costs or delivery costs, right?
Well, we have a fee of $6.75. That's in the information that we provided. That doesn't go up or down. That's all of our costs.
Okay.
That covers everything for us outside of the energy cost itself, and that is whatever the market dictates.
So, in essence,
and so just to emphasize that even more, so we don't add on additional costs to that energy, right? It's just whatever
what it is.
It's just it is what it is, whatever the market is dictating.
Okay.
And then our operational costs are covered by that straight fee.
Okay. So, the county will have X amount of monies total. After you take your percentage out, then we mean board of supervisors, decide on how we want to allocate our share of those revenues.
That's right.
And it could be in the different ways or a combination of the ways you just discussed.
That's right.
Okay. I just want to make sure the public understands that. Is that it's not like you're taking, this month you're getting X amount of, we have amount of money that we're going to get no matter how it's done, and we have to divvy it up.
That's right. That's absolutely
right.
So
the community can then communicate with our board and say, dudes, this is what we want to happen. Here's our input. And they may or may not listen.
Yes. I mean, that's just like any public program, right? I mean, listen, I was on the other end of that spectrum, right, supporting the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors.
But you were staff. You weren't elected official.
I was absolutely staff, yeah.
Right.
And that's the ongoing process, right, of any decision making.
Okay. Now, you mentioned about your purchase of energy. Could be any sort of energy, geothermal, solar, regular oil. That fluctuates, obviously, not just month to month, but on a day-to-day basis. I know you can buy contracts.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, how often will you adjust your rates to the consumer?
Right. So rates are completely held by the CCA governing body, right? And they're set on an annual basis.
Okay, it is annual.
It's annual, right? And so whatever rate was put into effect by the Board of Supervisors, or if it's a Lake County, Lakeport, Clear Lake combined program, it's whatever board is comprised. So that those are in place for the year. Similarly, the mix of energy is also in place for the year, and that's delineated on the broadest level by how much renewable composition the jurisdiction wants. Now, we start at a baseline
that goes into my questions.
Okay.
I've been waiting for him to do all the
okay.
technical.
You can speak
I
up
can talk
anytime
in
you
my
want.
language. So explain to me this now. I'm
Yeah.
hearing what you're saying. You're saying that the community decides how much renewables they want
Uh-huh.
to take in. So if Lake County's goal, let's say, is to be a 100% renewable
Uh-huh.
energy source, what would you do to be able to facilitate that, and what kind of options would people have?
Yeah. So 100% is absolutely attainable.
It is.
It absolutely is.
Cool.
The question is at what cost? So is it attainable, 100% attainable in the amount of revenue that we were talking about just a second ago, and still have lower rates than PG&E? That's probably unlikely.
Okay.
Okay?
So what would cost us more to create that?
For 100%. Now, getting beyond where you're at now, which is mid to high 20%, right, is absolutely attainable with significant revenue coming back or rate savings coming back. So where the proposal that we were originally talking about was 33% renewable, and that's our baseline. We don't want to go below that.
That's your starting point.
That's our starting point, and we can go above that, again, depending on, the realism of the market and finances.
And would
but
that also include creating sources such as solar farms or other renewable means here in Lake County itself? Could it?
We view it both ways, both local to the community that has the program in place, as well as local to California. We pride ourselves on prioritizing those two sources rather than going out and buying what are called credits, which are, we kind of get into an esoteric energy realm here, but it's essentially buying a piece of paper to cover up a piece of coal that you use,
Oh,
right?
yeah, well, I'm very
And
familiar
so-
with that. I'm a climate reality
Yeah,
native, so I've
yeah.
been through it.
And so
carbon
what?
credits, I kind of have an ambivalent opinion of, because to me it's just like big corporations basically cleansing their conscience by paying, So I think Lake County's people would rather see more renewables being accessed as opposed to any coal or oil-based fuels.
Yeah,
I just think that's a normal.
And that's our philosophy as well. I mean, we want to prioritize local renewable energy.
Let me interrupt for a second before I lose my train of
Yeah.
thought. Talking about solar, we know that PG&E offers incentives for solar, and
Buybacks
and there's a program that actually finances it for minimal amount of money over I can't remember, it's 10, 15, 30-year period. So if we in Lake County wanted to have a program where the government participates or provides some form of incentive, that would come out of the amount of money that's allocated to the community.
Yes and no, depending on what program you're talking about. Now, the on-bill payment or PACE program, I actually developed that for Sonoma County.
Cool.
And so that one can be administered completely separate from the CCA's finances. And just, the repayment can just be placed on your bill as it would otherwise.
Right.
So that can be done through the property tax, but it could also be tacked onto your energy bill too, depending on how you want to structure it. Now, for incentives themselves, and where I think you're going with that is actually buying back energy that you're putting onto the grid. The benefit of community choice, now subject again to the revenue that actually is available through the program, you can actually increase the rates that you're purchasing that energy back from what PG&E is going to provide today.
Okay.
And so that's yet another incentive that CCA can provide to encourage rooftop solar programs. And so CCA, just to really make sure that there's no confusion, actually supports rooftop solar. And so if there are companies, I know that there are companies here in Lake County, individuals here in Lake County affiliated with larger companies that are in the business of rooftop solar. And these things aren't in competition. In fact, CCA can actually encourage and provide an impetus for people who want rooftop solar. So in that way as well, CCA is just yet another economic, stimulus.
Okay.
Okay, and so based on that, the community can decide that they want to be more heavily towards the renewable energies. We can utilize certain things here in the county. The CARE program, would that also be continued?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the downside?
You know,
That's usually my question.
yeah. You know, I'll tell you, there's a great story. The chairman of our company's board is also the chair of First Community Bank.
Okay.
And First Community Bank, it was the bank to fund Sonoma Clean Power, right? So Sonoma was in this situation, as are all jurisdictions at One Community Choice, of, okay, now how do we find the, millions of dollars to actually start this program? It wasn't a political reality to dip into the general fund and on, right? And so they approached First Community Bank. And the story that Bill tells is, he's also a real estate developer. And he says, on these projects, on the real estate projects, there's always a catch. There's always a tree that has to be removed. There's always some kind of design standard that's hard to meet. But when they came to me with Sonoma Clean Power, it kept revenue local. It increased renewable energy. It was a strong financial program in and of itself, and it was controlled locally. So I can't find the downside, right? And so on a certain level, it's astonishing why there would be opposition to community choice, right? Because there are so many. It's win-win-win everywhere you look. Now, the catch is, right, that these conversations need to be had, right, about where rates are, what to do with revenue, and that can be a contentious conversation. It absolutely can. There's also the reality of the energy market is extremely volatile, right? And governments, I know from my experience, are just not in the business of electric markets, and so this is new ground. And so there's a catch to be had there. There's also a catch with jurisdictions up until now, up until we existed. Jurisdictions under around 100,000 in population were just shut out of the conversation because they couldn't generate enough revenue through the program to sustain all of the staff and other infrastructure that you need to administer the program. And so that was a big catch in and of itself. And now that we're, providing our service the way that we are, to open up that door, now there's a conversation that needs to be had about, are communities comfortable having a public-private partnership,
Would it be fair to say that as you grow and get more involved in communities, be it small ones or large ones, that the actual, obviously your overhead is going to decrease
Yes.
per
Yeah.
population.
Yeah.
And would that then create more savings to the communities?
Yes, it can.
And of course, increase your bottom line, which I understand you have to do that.
Yeah.
But basically, it's going to be a profit sharing, wouldn't it be? As you expand?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I mean, there's a couple ways to look at that now. Yeah, as we expand and grow, our fee could very well come down from where it's at right now, and that would, yes, absolutely.
The savings would go. Right.
The savings. There's no other place for the savings to go but to the community at that point. So absolutely, that can happen. On another level, just today, because we have set that fee at a level that is necessarily lower, apples to apples comparison, lower than what it would take for a jurisdiction to stand up a program on its own, have all of its staff in-house, et cetera, right? That already necessarily puts more money back into the community itself, right? Because, again, at a greater value of our service, there's only one other place for that money to go. And then we have safeguards in place now for energy procurement, where if we can get whatever essentially the lowest cost source of energy is, subject to the direction of the program itself for renewable energy composition.
As a beneficial company, do you have any restrictions from the state on regards to how much money you make or how much money has to go back to the community?
There's not an explicit cap on profit. What we have to demonstrate is that our social and environmental impact was as great as our financial benefit. And frankly, with community choice, that's an easy bar to hurdle. We already know right now, working with any jurisdiction, just financially, more money is going back to the community, just right out of the gate. And so we've cleared the financial hurdle right there. We also know that community choice programs are the most impactful thing a jurisdiction can do to meet greenhouse gas reduction targets. And so the more CCAs that stand up and emphasize renewable energy, the greater our environmental benefit is going to be. And then we get to the social benefit, and the more that we can help communities invest in local jobs, local renewable projects, et cetera, we meet that threshold as well. In addition to our, our internal HR practices.
Right, and I think that's where you're going to get the community support, because that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
I just lost my train of thought. I know you can't disclose everything, but can you give us an update on where you are in negotiating with the county?
Yeah, absolutely. The county made a decision to release an RFP at the last time that they discussed.
And that was a good idea. I mean, we don't want to see anybody be the only source for anything.
Yeah. I think it was a good idea, and we actually welcome it. Of course, we would have really enjoyed to just get into contract negotiations right then and start to be a partner for the community. But we completely understand, again, coming from government, right? I completely understand the need for a transparent process, for an open process. And even though we believe that we're the only company to provide all of the services that we're talking about, okay, so we'll prove it.
Well, I'm going to say, what other companies are going to be able to put a proposal together when you just said you're basically the only one in town?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what kind of proposals come in,
What did you find were the biggest hurdles the first time you went around to the county as far as the people's reaction to this plan?
For Lake County or for just...
For Lake County.
I think that
we know we're different.
Well, there's some similarities too. I think in every community, there's some education that needs to happen around what community choice is, what it means, that it's a right established by the state to both help protect communities from fluctuations in the energy market, as well as to help advance environmental goals that the state has, and that it isn't to replace PG&E, that it's done in partnership with PG&E, right? And so that conversation needs to continue to happen no matter where we're at. Now, with Lake County in particular, because this was one of the first communities that we were in real serious conversations with around, working together. We're in this conversation now about what our original kind of service proposal looked like and where we're at today, which are very different things. And so that's an important conversation to have, where our finances were a little opaque before, they're completely transparent now. Where we held a little bit of control before, we've given all of that control to the community now. And so those... that shift, I think, is, a little confusing, and we need to talk through it.
One of the biggest complaints I had in watching the meeting that you did a presentation to was that, this is my terminology, and I apologize for that, but being a financial dude, I said you were presenting fluff instead of hard numbers. And fluff could mean a lot to the Board of Supervisors, but to someone like myself, I don't care about fluff. What's the bottom line? And now you've done the bottom line. Okay. And when you submit a proposal to the county, I assume you're going to give them a dollar amount based on certain criteria and then tell the board how they can allocate that dollar amount.
Yeah, no, it depends on what's actually in the RFP. If they're asking for that, we'll absolutely provide it. If it's around how would you structure services and what kind of qualifications you bring, then we'll respond to that. But absolutely, before any rate setting happens, all of the pro forma, right? All of the costs associated with administering the program, projections around energy costs, and then how those numbers shift and change depending on renewable composition, renewable energy composition, and rate reductions. All of that's laid out, and so both the board as well as the public can have a real informed conversation around where the mix of benefits ought to be.
Okay. Have you received the request from the county?
It's not yet out.
It isn't.
It's not yet out. Yeah, it's and understandably so. I mean, right after they provided staff, the board provided staff to develop the develop the RFP. You know, we saw the third largest fire in the state's history. So,
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm cutting them a world of slack
Okay,
for that one.
I'm going to be very facetious here. Is that they didn't have time to get your proposal out, but they had time to pass an increase in pay for everybody, including themselves.
Yeah,
You don't have to comment.
You're trying to get me in some hot water
No,
there.
no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
even touching that
No.
one.
That's him.
That's me.
Just ignore him.
I have some
Just
very
there's some real sore spots around here.
yeah,
as you may
and
have
I mean,
noticed.
do the county employees deserve a raise? They got their cost of living, which to me is a raise. Off subject, I won't go there. I have some very strong opinions about that.
Yeah.
But that's all right. So I understand that they had to do that. So, you have any other questions?
No, I think you've pretty much covered it because whatever ones I was going to ask, you've already pretty much
So I
covered.
basically hogged the conversation. Is what you're saying?
I expected you to.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
No problem with
See,
that.
this is my cup of tea. She has.
He's got the financial brain.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to ask you more about what sources are you going to be using for the energy and that kind of thing. So, just off the top, as if we went in here with a 33% renewable, where would the other sources of energy be? From oil, coal, what kind of?
It's primarily natural gas. It's what's
so that's
called.
a little less.
Yeah, in
polluting.
California, it's primarily.
We
it's,
don't want coal.
Yeah, it's primarily what's called system power, which is in California primarily natural gas.
Okay, very good. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. We have a good friend whose name is Ben Zolno, and I know he's watching us right now. And he has been working in this field for a long time. And he came to visit a couple months ago, and we explained to him, you know, what was going on here. And at that time, we were kind of suspicious about the motivations, and we really weren't sure. And he explained a lot more to us about how this works. And he was familiar with your company. He was also familiar with what had gone down in Marin and everywhere else. So, you know, he kind of did help us understand more about what it's about, and that we don't necessarily have to be afraid of it, but we just want to know more about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what most people
Right.
feel at this
And
point.
Ben was actually complimentary, wasn't he?
He was
Yes.
very complimentary.
Well,
and
that's
he's
great.
put the word out, and a lot of his people are watching.
Oh, well, that's
this
great.
show,
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if there are other members in the community like Ben that are open for a conversation, you know,
He
I
actually
truly
lives
am.
in L.A. I mean, he's not a local
Oh,
person
well.
right now, so you know. But he's worked in this industry, so he was aware of what was going on.
Okay.
Okay. My last question is, do you have any direct communications with individual supervisors, just in general discussions?
Not really discussions. We certainly provided information. We've reached out and made ourselves available. We had our initial contact with the county was with the board chair, Chairman Farrington, just to describe our services, a lot like this conversation. We've had a nice conversation. Actually, one of my staff had a nice conversation with Supervisor Steele.
I figured that.
But for the most part, it's just providing information and follow up to a board meeting per se. You know, we really haven't sat down and had a.
So your initial conversation was with an attorney, really? Don't you know better?
No, but that's good.
You know, he's incredibly smart.
He is.
And his background is pretty impressive. The way that he was able to get his law degree, working. He's a pretty impressive character.
He is. We love him.
Yeah.
So we're glad he's
Yeah, we
out.
don't necessarily agree with his political or his decisions, but once we're outside of that realm, he's a cool guy. He's always saying hi to us. We have good conversation with him, so I can't say anything
Well,
bad.
there's a meme going around that I just shared the other day on Facebook,
Oh,
and
boy.
it basically says, you know, I don't have to agree with you, to like and respect you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, really, we don't always have to think the same,
Yeah.
but we should still
Yeah.
have that mutual
Right.
respect.
And as I mentioned off the years, I like to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
You know why? Because people need to understand the opposite viewpoint
Yeah.
and challenge the person to say, okay, do they really know their stuff, or are they just BSing everybody?
Yeah, yeah.
So I have fun doing that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going all over this state, and something that's resonating more and more with me are just these sort of fundamental notions of leadership and progress and positive change. And to get to your point, Terry, the more and more we can work on our common interests rather than arguing our individual positions, I think the better and better we are.
I agree.
I mean, we saw people come together in this county, right, around an emergency.
Absolutely.
And drop all of their positions, right, around a common interest. And in many ways, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take advantage of a terrible situation, but in many ways, CCA and the climate and local economic resilience, those are absolutely pressing issues as well.
I agree.
And so if we can come together under a mutual interest in advancing those things and improving the economy here in Lake, while at the same time improving the environment, at least Lake's contribution to the environment, we ought to do that now.
Would you consider doing, he talked about a town hall, I'm not necessarily saying a town hall, but a workshop to kind of educate people to the program and let them know what their options are. What I see here in Lake County with these terrible fires that have created such devastation is a huge opportunity for us to rebuild our community.
Yeah.
And now we can take it and look at it from a sustainable viewpoint. We're already looking at sustainable building materials. We're already looking at incorporating gray water systems. We're already looking at rebuilding with the right frame of mind. If we can include energy into that, that would be very good.
Absolutely.
You know, so
absolutely.
that would be the
And have a
key.
source of revenue, right?
Right, exactly.
That can actually fund some of that.
Exactly.
The numbers
I'd love to see solar panels going up on everybody's house.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
On the new homes that are being built.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, and and invest in a local company, right, that produces renewable energy that was itself hit very, very hard by the fire.
And I think we do consider you local because you're just an hour away.
We're just an hour away. We're just an hour away.
that's
Short drive away. And next time I'll do it on my motorcycle.
Well, in that
Excellent.
case,
Well,
I'll write down and we can write back
And
together.
next
Exactly,
time
there
I'm
you go.
telling the fly to take a day off. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay.
I played a little bit in high school. I'm a huge Giants fan.
I'm sorry.
I'm a huge Giants fan. Sorry that this year ended the way that it did, but
I'm not.
as all baseball fans say, there's always next year.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to have to
Yep.
move on. We thank you so much for coming in.
It was a
We're
pleasure.
going to take a little break, and our good friend Bob DeWalt's going to come in, and he's going to be talking to us about the debate
Good.
last night, the Democratic debate. So we really appreciate you joining us. And
Yeah.
please don't be a stranger. You're welcome anytime something changes or you want to update us.
Thank you so much.
Please
Yeah.
feel free to come in.
Thank
We're
you.
happy to
Thank
have
you so much, and please consider it mutual.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Again,
Appreciate
I'm happy
that.
to be here.
Appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to listen.